Oh my god, I have spent so much time trying to get Qwen 2.5 VL running, and it gets so close. Like, look at this, it's actually generating, and it's working. This again, this is the 3 billion parameter model at full precision. You can kind of see how much memory that's using, the 18.91 gigabytes, but it keeps crashing. I keep getting errors like this. I can get it to work well at some point, but man, does it absolutely break me when I just keep getting these errors. So I'm going to ask it to explain this chart with a breakdown of the data. And I'm going to go ahead and submit that. Now, one of the things I want to pull up here is my GPU usage. And this is something that's actually been kind of tricky to get fully set up. So it's running. You can see here I'm using 94% of the GPU, 18.89 gigabytes out of 24 of my VRAM. This is on the 3 billion parameter model. These image models are insanely memory hungry. So I've ran into some issues running the 7 billion parameter model quite a bit. You can see here this actually dropped down, so most likely we actually crashed. So here we go. We ended up with partial response there, and we got our error. Yep. So this is where I said, sometimes this one will work, sometimes it won't. This is super unfortunate. So I'm just going to say, explain this chart to me and hit submit and hope that we don't actually crash here. So we're running the 3 billion parameter model. We're using 18 gigabytes of video RAM. It's hitting about 80% of my GPU currently. You can see it's generating pretty nicely right now. So maybe this one will complete without failing. So here we're going to see San Francisco, basically slightly above 65 all 3 months. And that would be these blue. Let's just take a look at that. So that'd be the blue slightly above 65. I don't know. That doesn't seem totally accurate. Oh, it does say slightly below here. I misread that. My bad. So slightly above 40 for Little Rock. Little Rock's green. That's not right at all, right? And then Seattle, slightly above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So this just did not do a good job at all on the 3 billion parameter model. Now, here is one where it actually worked. This is the 3 billion parameter model again. I say explain this chart to me. It actually completes. I then ask it some information about it, and it lists out the top 10 countries to me. Like, this is great. Like, I absolutely love what this is able to do. But it's just the instability of this entire thing that is just driving me nuts. Because the agentic work that I want to do is going to require that to work 95% of the time. Like, I need it to work a lot more than what this is actually currently working. Here's another example. So this failure actually starts really decently, right? It somehow even picks up, because here, let me show you what this diagram looks like. I don't say anything about Apple in here. I grabbed this from the website, just a Google image search. This is a Sankey diagram that shows the revenue and expenses of Apple Inc. Freaking amazing! But I don't know where it got the September 2020 from either. So maybe it just made that up. The diagram is organized. Boom, done. Check out my GPU. Locked at 80%. Nothing happening. It's just hung. This is the chart that it should be able to explain to me. Again, this is a 7 billion parameter model, because I found the 3 billion parameter model just doesn't do that great a job. All right, so I ended up getting a timeout on this one. So what I'm going to do now is go make a tweak. We're going to rerun this, and I'll be right back. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm running this at bfloat 16, which is not half precision. We will drop down to half precision if this fails, but this should fit into memory a little bit better for me. All right, so you can see here that we have sent that off. I'll just show you kind of the usage here. It is generating here in the background. It's using 18.44 gigs of my VRAM, 74% of my GPU. Now, if this ends up like just dropping, you see this blue line here? If this ends up just dropping, then it crashed. And there's probably like a 50% chance that it's actually going to crash. Yep, there it goes. It died there. Let me see if it actually finished or if it did crash. Yeah, it got close. You can kind of see it started here and then it ended up failing. Whoa, look at this here. I accidentally uploaded 2 images. It actually processed both of them. And I do think this add criterion is just something with the model that it outputs. Okay, you can see my pain from that. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my lessons learned on how I actually have set up what I have so far, in case this is helpful for someone else that's trying to set up Qwen 2.5 VL. First, I do want to call out that if you are trying to use Qwen 2.5 VL, there is a ridiculous amount of issues that are popping up in here. And the ones that I keep getting are this probability tensor contains either infinite nan or element less than 0. And I actually get this hang where it actually like freezes and continues using my GPU, like what you saw in that previous clip. Qwen 2.5 VL was announced on January 26, 2025. I have tested it via the API, and it is great, but I want to be able to run this thing locally. My use case that I want to do is I want to be able to take charts and summarize the data off of it. It should be relatively simple. But what I found in practice is that the longer the output, at least in the way I have it set up, the more likely it is to crash in one of the couple ways that I've kind of mentioned. The other thing I want to say is like on the AMD side, you cannot run this on Windows. You have to use Linux. So I'm actually using Nabara Linux on this computer. This computer is actually dual booting Windows and Nabara. Once you get that all set up, I highly recommend simply using the RockM PyTorch image from Docker. I started out not doing this and it was absolutely painful. So the Docker image simplifies so much. Then what you can actually do is you can actually create your own Docker image off of that, which is what I did. I built this Qwen RockM custom. I'm sorry I'm using this drive folder here, but I'm back on Windows now, so it's copied some notes over to share. So I've got this Docker file that I use to build this custom image. And this image will now have all the stuff I need already installed in it with Torch and the dependencies that are set up as part of the requirements file on the Qwen 2.5 VL repo. Once you have your Docker file set up and your image built, you can simply run, making sure you reveal your, open up your network port properly. You can run this Docker run command, which is probably hard to see, unfortunately. Let me bold this and try to make that a little bit easier to see. You can run this command, and then that will pass through to make sure your GPU is detectable, and it'll open it up so you can actually open the URL. I do want to just call out real quick, there's a lot of complaint about AMD. I found like this one just kind of browsing around. You know, this is a little over a year ago, and the RockM support has gotten significantly better. I'm actually a pretty big fan of AMD, and I'm rooting for them. But I will say it should be easier to set some of this stuff up. I ran into countless like issues trying to get RockM to actually work properly. And RockM now works on Windows, but it only works partially. It doesn't work in everything. Like Torch and TensorFlow, for example, doesn't actually work on Windows. But at least we can use it on Linux. There you have it. It is like 3:10 in the morning right now. Thank you for joining me on this journey of pain. I've spent way too many hours trying to work through this, and I hope it's been helpful to someone. If not, hopefully it's at least been a little bit entertaining to kind of see the pain that I had to go through there to make this work. And it really does make me consider trying to pick up a NVIDIA GPU. I don't think I'll be able to get the 5090 RTX because it just isn't in stock anywhere. Maybe I'll try to pick up a used one somewhere. I would love to know you guys' comments or feedbacks on what you've seen, how you actually run stuff on AMD hardware. Have you actually tried to run Qwen 2.5 VL at all anywhere? And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to switch over to an API version. I'm not going to be able to run it locally for the short term, but at least I know that now, and I learned a lot along the way, which is what life is about. Anyway, guys, until next time, peace out.